Are we live? We are live. All right.
We
Just
are
something I
live.
wanted to try. So, just give something a little countdown timer. Tried to time it all. Didn't work really well. That's why I'm not in video broadcasting. So, but hey, we're still live here. Thank you for being here. Good to see you. And another Tuesday night, we're talking about marketing. And this is awesome. I am so excited about this, as I am every Tuesday, to be talking about marketing with my friend Scott Vogel. I'm going to bring him in. We are going to talk today about first of all, I'm going to bring him in first. Let me do that. We're going to talk today about Dan Sullivan's 80% approach. Are you familiar with that?
I'm sure you'll familiarize me with it, Joey.
So the answer is no.
I don't know yet if the answer is no. I'm still...
I think this is a great subject to talk about because you and I both know that there's people who want this perfection thing and 100% get it all right first. That's really what this whole topic is about. And so Dan's got a great book. I love Dan's books. They're very short and consumable. I have his notes up here as always. I have the Evernote ready to go and just took a couple of notes that I wanted to reference. But it's basically that your 80% is good enough, and that's it. You don't need any more. The last 20% is not going to matter at all. Nobody's going to see the difference between the 80 and the 100%. But as perfectionists, we think that yes, the next 20% is going to matter. And I remember getting this book a little while ago, and I used to call myself the 80% dude for the longest time, for like 5, 7, 10 years. I can remember now. Like, I'm the 80% dude. I'll get to 80%, and then that's kind of when I finish. And I thought that was a problem, and because I never really finished anything. And it was like, well, it's 80%, and you know what? I've only got 20% left. So I'm going to put that aside, and my ADD brain and my entrepreneur and the what's next dude, and let me go on to those other projects thingy would get into play. And it would be like, I'll just move over to this project, start doing that project. Guess what? Get to 80%, go back to the other one and go, oh, dang, I got to go launch this thing now, or got to deliver this thing. Well, it's as good as it's going to get. And it's always been like that. And then I find out that that's kind of the way that you need to work. So what about you? That's the whole, I guess, synopsis of what the book is all about. How do you work? Are you like that 100% dude, or do you release something at 80%?
I think you know the answer to that, Joey, after launching probably 25 products in a year. It's going to be a year in a couple of weeks that we beta launched after alpha launch. And we've launched, again, a couple of dozen products. Every other week, I think I've launched something, at least 2 things a month. I always look at it and say, how do I get it up? How do we get the economic engine going and working so that I could put together a basic VSL, a basic sales page, and deliver it to people and have it work and get on a live training and give them some stuff. And then that's it. And I like, if it works and it's gangbusters, I can come back and
Awesome.
do it. I can rewrite the copy. I could fix the video. I could edit the page. I could change the offer. Every single one of the products we've launched were launched with a gift involved in it. And I know I'm going to come back, and when I launch it again to another audience, it's going to be a different price and a different offer. And I'm going to do split tests and all that stuff. But I didn't like I got to have the split testing done. And it's like, let me get the offer out and done and see if people want it and will they buy it. And that's it. Then I can come back and say, now what do I need to do? And I told you we're launching another piece of software on Thursday, brand new. We've updated another one, and we're going into a beta launch. I don't have the sequence done of the training yet. I don't even know what the training's all about yet. I told you I got on a call with a bunch of people just to get my languaging, and every single one of them was, count me in. I'm in. I'm in the paid beta. Just let me know. I want to be there. And it was not I did not do it to sell. It was like, I need your advice. I need your help. I needed to hear the language from musicians. I'm not a musician. And we both do this when we go to write copy or do anything. We need to know more about the product than the client does. And I'm a music appreciator. I don't know anything about chords and all kinds of progressions and beats and measures and phrases and stems. And I'm like, that sounds good or that sounds like crap. And now Thursday, I'm still mapping out the offers on the board behind me, and I've got
Cool.
Thursday till 2 o'clock. Yeah, 80% is more than good enough. If it, and I that thing I did the other day was part of watching what you do, and it was accidental, but it's accidental in the next step in what you're doing. Is if you talk to enough people about what you're doing and you've got the languaging and it truly solves their problem, then they're going to want it because of the result that it gives.
Yeah, and when I do any launch, I'm launching every. I don't really call it a launch because it's really not a launch for me. It's more of a. I'm just doing it again. It's just to a
Right.
new group of people, but if you want to call it a launch, whatever. But it when I first do it, the first launch, it's a relatively 80% of the work is just the research and speaking to the market and understanding the market, and then drawing out a Google Doc or some kind of document that says, "Here's the stuff that I figured out that I think that you want," and
Yeah.
then sending people to that. That's it. There's
Right.
no. I don't even go as far as you. I don't even have anything built. I don't have the thing drawn out, the funnels and all that stuff. That's the 80%. And here's the funny thing that, when anybody starts a product or a project, and I'm quoting from Dan's book here, or paraphrasing, whatever you want to call it, stealing from his book. This is not my stuff, but that when you start the project, you're already 80% of the way done. Pretty much, you're done. And going with that, today I delivered my Atlas program, which I delivered the first time, which was just from the Google Doc, and then I created the product with the group, right? But this next one, which is my second launch, if you want to call it that, all it is working from 1 week to the next of looking at what I've already built, the presentation, and thinking, okay, how can I make this better? How can I, and I'm telling you that I've spent not crazy amounts of time, right? In terms of the week to week, the 7 days between each product presentation. And if I really look at what I've actually done in terms of tweaking it, it's not 20%, bro. It's a couple of little things here and there. Let me take out this slide. Is it close to 100%? No way. But it's like the whole week has gone by, and that extra little tweak is nowhere close to being 100%. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense, Joey. Again, it's getting it out there to see if it's minimum viable. Is somebody going to buy it? Is it going to work? Why would somebody spend months on building out all the things that I got to
Yeah.
have this and I got to have this and it's got to be perfect? No, it doesn't. It's got to work. It's got to be able to deliver the thing that you promised. That's it.
Yeah.
And like I said, we're with Fast Video Creator. There's a 30-day sequence that I built that basically is a couple of grand worth of free stuff and value that at the end of that 30 days, if they don't know how to do what we've taught them to do, then this is totally not for them. They're not going to be involved in it. That wasn't built till months after we put the software out there. It was promised to come, just
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
got to it until I finally got to it. And even now, it was a soap opera sequence that was going to have mini product launch sequences from each collection that had another collection in it. And so one day I will have somebody go back in and say, okay, when we talk about this product, just put a quick link to it and say, hey, this is what we use. And then once that happens, if people respond, well, maybe they'll go into another little sequence or something with a related product.
Right.
Imagine if I waited to have that whole thing ready that had the product launch sequence from this. And if they were interested in that, then I subscribe them to another sequence. And if I put them in another sequence and they didn't buy that, I'd be like a year down the road and wouldn't have launched anything. It's got to get out there. My mother was an editor. When I used to do consulting, workshops, seminars, my stuff was 100%. It had to be in that realm when I was going to put out a workbook that you were going to take home and that you were going to read and you were going to follow along. That had to be 100%. I had the resources, and that's all I had to worry about, was that the workbook was delivered. When you write a book and you put it out, it's got to be polished because that's what's expected. What we're doing now, there's not this bar, this expectation. Oh, it's not perfect. It's not all done. And how come I didn't get into?
Yeah, but then you can have the argument towards what we're talking about here, Scott, because you're going to get stuck in perfectionism. You're going to get stuck in procrastination, writing a book, an ebook, doing anything. So I would argue that point that no, it's not going to be 100%. It's impossible to have your workbook at 100%. Impossible to have a book at 100%. There's got to be a point where you say, this is enough. Enough is enough. Now, if you're talking about, well, is the grammar right? Is the spelling checked and all this kind of stuff? Okay. But at 100%, that's where everybody gets stuck. Like when I wrote my book in 3 weeks, it was like, that's it. Here it is. I've got these 3 weeks and I'm focusing on this and that's it. It's going out on this date. And I could have sat for another year and a half, 2 years or 10 years and wrote a book. But it was like, no, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to put it out.
Well,
and
I agree with you, Joey. When I was talking about my workbooks, it was like, okay, I have promised to deliver the first seminar on 60 days from now. This has got to be done. That's what 100% was. Here's the available time I have. That thing's got to be done.
Yeah. Okay. So that's different from having it like 100% perfect, right? It's like
perfect. I said it went through. It's kind of like the 12 copy test. If I looked at a piece of copy and we ran it through all the tests and we'd say it's good to go, could we spend another week beating it up and change? Yeah, let's get it out. Let's do it.
Yeah, but what happens if you don't do 12 copy tests and you did 80% of that? It's still good enough.
It's still good enough. I don't always do the 12, bro. I look at my copy. I'll follow my 18 steps. I won't use them all. And I'll go boom, 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 boom. I'll write the copy. I'll tweak it. I'll play with it. I'll go through it like we do. I'll set it aside for maybe a night. I'll go back, look at it tomorrow. I'll make sure there's not too many I's, we's, and us's, and get it to the you, your, them. I'll make sure there's everything understandable. Is it legible? Can people comprehend it? And then if I got to make a video, I'm moving on. Or if I'm just putting that on a sales page, I just check it for real quick grammar. And even then, it's like, is it formatted? I don't know. You were with me once when I was putting together, I think it was for Fast Asset Finder, a copy Jumpstarter, and we were just talking about Rich Sheffrin, and we were looking at one of his pages, and we liked the blue bars in between the copy that showed the subhead. I was like, I love it. It's beautiful. Subhead, copy, subhead, copy. I didn't have these amazing graphics and imagery and this. It was, here's the copy. I still believe in good old style, Dan Kennedy, and write me some great copy. If I need a picture, give me a picture.
Right.
But I don't think every section needs a picture. Again, that would be, yeah. Could I look at every section of the copy and say, what would be a perfect image to go with this? And could I bold this? And could I underline this? Yeah, but guess what? I don't have time. I've got to get it out and move on to the next thing, and then come back later on and put an extra finishing touch on it.
I want to quote here from Dan's book. I got a couple of notes here that I want to quote. He says that 2 mental habits that can paralyze us for an entire lifetime. One is the habit of perfectionism. It paralyzes our ability to make decisions and commitments. The habit of procrastination paralyzes our ability to take action. And that is so true. And I find that with almost everybody I speak to, I fall into this trap over and over again. And this is why this is such an important topic for me, and to understand that 80%, whatever it is good enough. And even if you go back to, you were just talking about copy, when Right Marketing Copy wasn't a program and I was hired to write those pieces of copy, and I have my own copywriting process as well. But right, because the time was only like, you got to get this out in 3 weeks, there was processes and things that I had to eliminate to go 80% is good enough. So in order for me, instead of me doing this one thing, I'm just going to go do these things, and that's it, right? And I got that process done, and it was 80% done, and nobody knew the difference. Nobody said, well, that copy sucks because you didn't do those other things. Then they don't even know what those other things were. And then, the history is now, because that's how the right marketing copy came to be, is understanding, well, wow, I didn't have to do all of those other things in order to write the copy. Are they necessary? Yes. But that's how it just made, I never would have had the product. Let's put it that way. Had I not done that thing, had I not eliminated most of the perfectionism that I was used to doing. And I always look back at that.
I think you're a hypocrite.
Go ahead.
Right before we got on the call, I was telling you that you asked me how many people I talked to. And I said I spoke to 6. And you're like, that's not enough. You need at least 10, 25, 100. I'm like, okay, I needed what I needed to get in the time I needed to get it to do what I needed to do. That's 80%. Yeah, am I going to go back later and interview 100 people? For sure. Am I going to do what I did years ago?
Okay, but hold on. So here's what I get what you're saying, and you're right, but you're not giving the full context. You did not finish that. I mean, we're arguing here behind the scenes because they don't know what we were talking about. But I said, did you get enough, speak to enough people? You said, yes, half a dozen, and I got what I needed. You stopped right there. You didn't say, I got what I needed in order to get the product out next Thursday or whatever it was. If you would have said that, I would have said, oh, well, but you didn't. You stopped. And I said, well, that's not enough.
Now we're talking semantics, my
We're not talking semantics. If you want to say I'm a hypocrite, then the context.
Monica, back me up. Help. Monica.
He hates being wrong, guys. He hates being wrong. And he's wrong. Completely wrong. So now that I won that one, let's go back to this. Our 80% is accepted by
points for you, even though the points don't matter.
Exactly. What's that show? Whose line is it anyway? Right? Remember that one? 1,000 points for you. It doesn't matter though. He says our 80% is accepted as 100% by others. And I thought that was a brilliant mental shift to understand that. Our 80% is accepted as 100% by others. And I've even proved it today because I was up till 4 a.m. last night, believe it or not. Okay?
Wow.
4 a.m. It was just like, you know what? I don't know. And here's why. It's not because I've been working my butt off for the last 7 days. It's because of what he just said. Procrastination. Procrastination paralyzes our ability to take action. And for the last couple of days, it's been like, it's Tuesday. I got lots of time. It's tomorrow. Don't worry about it. Right? And then I find myself up till 4 a.m. because then the other one kicks in, the perfectionism. No, what is that the right slide? Should I take that in? Should I take that out? Guess what? Nobody cared. Nobody said, is there more that you should teach here? Nobody. And it's just like I'm blown away that I know the stuff. I see myself teaching it to other people, yet I'm still caught in the same cul-de-sac of problem going on in my own world.
Joey, you know that 2 weeks ago we were on a call and I was putting together my presentation for an hour after the call was over.
Right.
And it was my PowerPoint and I brought everything in. Was it perfect? Not even close. Did it allow me to deliver what I needed to deliver? Yes. Did it get people to buy what I was selling? Yes. Was it perfect? Not even close. Did I have the full stack? Did I have everything included that I should? No. You and I talk about some of the formulas we use, the whack method.
Yeah.
Where it's like, in 3 minutes, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know and I'm done, instead of, or the hypnotic copy formula, or the GANS method. It's just all of these things that make it. Right now, we're working on creating these DFY video scenes for all different types and really taking it to the next and the next and the next level. And they're not going to be perfect, but guess what? We're going to get them out there so that people can use them and benefit them and grow them, and it'll come back that we can take it to the next step and the next step and the next step.
Right, right. I'm looking. I'm wondering if anybody has a question regarding this, what we're talking about, the 80%, or anything related to marketing or growing your business. We'd love to help you answer questions. Just put them into the chat. Let us know, and or maybe what your thoughts are about this topic. And 80% is always better than 100% because 100% is impossible perfection to get to. You'll never ever get that. And so if you get stuck in that, which you're normal, because if perfectionism and procrastination is a normal thing, it's just now it's recognizing it. It's kind of like when an alcoholic says, "Wait, I think I'm drinking too much here." It's like that. Recognizing is the most important step to this, and then accepting that, or understanding that the 80% is what most of the world will see as 100%. You're never going to get anybody who says this isn't your best stuff.
The world isn't 100%.
Right.
There's a very, we look at different experiences we have out in the world dealing with companies. I think I shared a story about how I called, I don't remember, it was AT&T. I was calling to tell them how amazing one of their representatives was in one of the stores. And I got to a voicemail. And when I clicked the button for human resources, it said this number is no longer in service. This is a phone company. But again, it didn't detract from, I called the store manager and said how amazing this person was.
Yeah.
She could have basically said, look, I'm closed, the drawer's away, the doors are locked in 2 minutes, come back tomorrow. She was able to fix it in like a minute. And to me, that was admirable. Is that company 100%? No way. Are there issues along the ride with the company? Yeah. What do you do about it?
Yeah. Dan is asking, would you say procrastination is fear? Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
I think
so is procrastination here's another loop, Scott. Is procrastination a fear of perfectionism, or not being perfectionism or perfect?
I don't think so on that one, Joey.
I do.
Okay, well, good for you.
So why don't you think it's a fear of not being perfect?
Well, I'm going to use myself, obviously, because I can. I know that.
And plus, you know yourself because you've heard the voice before. Yeah.
I have to get this thing out on Thursday, and there's a lot to do between Kajabi and Thrivecart and Zapier and all this and that and blah and the things that need to get done. There was many other things that needed to get done. It's not about being perfect. It's just a matter of, okay, now I've got to get this thing done, and it's not going to be perfect. In the least, it's going to work.
So you don't have a fear of being perfect then?
No.
But you don't think that other people do?
I didn't say that.
Well, you said you disagree.
I disagree in my case.
Okay.
But not.
So fear can be a fear of not being perfect.
Yes, because it could be, I'm afraid that if I put something out there that's less than perfect, I'm going to be ashamed. People aren't going to buy it. They're not going to like it. They're not going to respect me. When you and I know, Joey, being real is respected more so. I'm sure you've listened to Steve Jobs' commencement speech from Stanford in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
And it was wonderfully humble, where he shared 3 stories in his life. And the first one, basically, without going through it, I think everybody should watch it because it's really powerful. The first one was, you can't connect the dots forward. You can only connect them
I love
back.
that. Yeah.
You can't figure out. And the second one, because what he talked about was when he went to college, he realized after 6 months he was wasting his parents' hard-earned savings. And he dropped out so he could drop into other classes. And he was at Stanford and on the campus, because it was like the best calligraphy program in the world, every sign, every sticker, everything was perfect typography and calligraphy. he had the time and he went and took calligraphy. He learned about serif and sans serif, and he had no clue what that was going to do. It's like me and the so hypothesis of Zoom, that people are using so in place of and to get attention in a Zoom. That it's not going to be a book. It's not going to go talk on the road about it. He had no idea. He was just interested in it. And he was putting himself in a place he didn't love and didn't think there was value in what he was doing. So he went and became curious. And and 10 years later, when they were designing the Mac, he was the first one to really have beautiful, how does fonts work? And without it, Windows copied it. There probably would not have been. And that was the first thing. You don't know. But the lesson that I think coming out of that is, and the second one is love and lost. He loved what he did. Steve Jobs loved the creative part of it. And he got fired, as we know, from Apple. And it was very humiliating to him. It was a very public firing. And then it was like, okay, I still love doing this. And he creates Next and Pixar. Pixar, the largest successful animated company on the planet. Next was bought by Apple again. And so he lost something, but he didn't. And then he met his wife in that. So those were just two things. And the third one, which you've heard me talk about, is I had this waking period today. And what if I didn't get another one? And his was undying, was if you woke up to life and said, if this is it, am I going to do what I love? Am I going to be happy? And if not, he said, after a couple of days of saying, no, I'm not happy, go do something else, which is kind of playing in what we're talking about, is doing what you love and putting in everything you can. And that goes into the 80% thing, is what if I'm curious enough to just continue to learn it and put it out there? It's like Kajabi. I am not a Kajabi expert mechanic by any way, shape, or form. Can I throw together offer pages and sales pages and connect the dots with Thrivecart and zap it? Hell yeah. Can I get an offer out in 2 days from idea? Yes. Is it 100%? On my website's 100%. My YouTube channel, I'm a video CEO of a company, and my YouTube channel has got like nothing.
Yeah. Let me get to these questions here, because we got a lot here. So Lorna, you were so right. The 2 P's that hold us back: procrastination and perfectionism. Yep. I've included some info about that in my course. I think mostly so that if I teach it enough, I might learn something. Isn't it so true that we learn so much when we're teaching it? So much. Thank you for that. Let me see here. Monica, I know that I will just start with 80% or less and it will still be great. That's the thing. If you read Dan's book, once you start, you're already at 80%, believe it or not. Like you're even if you did a week of whatever work, it's still 80%. It's not, oh, now it's 85, now it's 90%. No, it's the 80%. That's the concept behind it. And when you read it and understand what he's talking about, it's already 80% the moment you start what you've done. And so, yes.
Is there anything in the book that kind of gives us an average of where the world lives, or where the world expects, or what percentage does the world exist in? The people we see out there doing business, competitors, retail companies, online companies. Is there like a...
Well, the quote I have here that I didn't read yet is, the perfectionist is fixated on achieving 100%, but no one else expects, requires, or even will appreciate this. In 80% of life's situations, an 80% result is good enough to move things forward, and the best 80% result is the one that happens as quickly as possible. And I'm going to say that again. The best 80% result is the one that happens as quickly as possible. And I think that everybody needs to really hear that one and let that one sink in. But I don't...
I want to stop you because I want to let that sink in. again.
Cool.
Say it one more time.
Oops, here it is. I'll read the whole thing. If 80% of life's situations, actually, you know what? I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste it in.
You have the technology to do that, Joey?
I'm hoping I do.
Wow, we're so grateful to you, Joey. That
Okay, here it is.
Using things.
Check this out. In 80% of life situations, an 80% result is good enough to move things forward, and the best 80% result is the one that happens as quickly as possible.
I have lived that bottom sentence for 11 and a half months.
There you go.
You know, you and I remember when we were talking about a thing that wasn't a thing, that was an umbo. An umbo is that.
Mm-hmm.
When it was right marketing copy, it was like, hey, bro, I'm going to do this thing. I was like, cool.
Mm-hmm.
And boom, it happened quickly to get it out there.
Atlas was even quicker for me. Atlas was an idea. It wasn't even something that a process that I did and go, hey, wait a second, maybe I can turn that into a product. Atlas was more of, hey, I've been doing all these kind of things the last couple of years, and I don't know, maybe I should try to put something together. And then in 2 weeks, there was an offer on the table and 20 people inside the program.
You and I were talking about coaching and thingies and bigger thingies and multiple people thingies. And then it was like, hey, there you go. And that's what I think gets really important again, is as quickly as possible to get it out there.
Yeah.
It's so important that you not wait till it's perfect, or that, as I kidded the other day, but Joey, I don't have my Facebook set up, and I don't have my Instagram and my YouTube and my LinkedIn profile's not done, and I don't have the keywords optimized, and I don't have the YouTube channel built out.
Right.
I don't have the sequence, and I didn't have the 30-day soap opera sequence with all the upsells and thingies and that. It was like, it goes back to the book I love, which is just sell the damn thing. Just get it out there. And let's go to one of the best examples of 80%, the blue screen of death. When Windows came out, your general protection fault. Your whole computer shut down. You had this blue screen, and it was like, basically, you're screwed, dudette. And you're like, okay, let me start all over. I've lost everything. And that was accepted back then. It was like, who had a choice? Because what do? Go back to DOS and type in a command prompt and figure stuff out?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Because no one judges me as hard as I do, so what is little to me seems to be great to others. What is little to me? Oh, I guess, yeah. So the little thing that you do is grand for others. You're exactly right. That's because we're perfectionists. We're experts. We know what we can put in more and what people are missing and what they need and all these things. And I'm telling you that they will not miss it. They have no idea. It's the same thing as when I was speaking and on stages and doing the same thing of here's the slides, here's the thing, and then I mess up on whatever it is. Nobody's knowing that I'm messing up on if I've memorized the thing or whatever, because they don't know the dang thing. But we're freaking out thinking, oh my God, I totally screwed that up. The audience has no idea. Like that.
Joey, when I was on stage and I was in the middle of either a keynote or that, and I interact with the audience, and there would be times where I'd be talking about something, and then I'd come back and say, so where was I?
Right.
They had no idea. And I would say this, you have no idea right now if I have no idea where I am, or if I want to see if you're paying attention and want your feedback. And somebody would say, well, we're talking about this. It's like, I already knew that, or I didn't know that. They don't know. And I skipped the slide. I missed the slide. The spelling was wrong on the slide. The font wasn't perfect. So what?
Yeah, I know. It's funny how people freak out over that. I'm one of those dudes that like to point things out. I'm one of those guys that if I do miss something, if I was doing a presentation or there was something I totally missed or a slide skipped or whatever, then I would have pointed out saying, oh my God, I totally screwed that up. Let me go back here. You guys totally missed that. I should have done this, right? And point it right out, because people like human beings. Go figure, right? Let's look here. Dan, the suicide hotline, please hold. That's pretty funny. Oh, thank you, Meadow. That's so nice of you. Thank you. Until you are enough for yourself, you can't be enough for anyone else. Yes. I think fear is fear and not being safe. You can add anything to it, like fear of not being perfect, fear of not being seen correctly, fear of being hurt. Yes, fear of failure, fear of rejection, all of that stuff, which is procrastination. So that's a loop for me. I'm always caught in that cul-de-sac loop thing that it's like perfectionism. I'm going to be judged. So let me hold back another week and not launch this thing yet. It's not right yet. That's totally gone out of my life. I still have it a little bit. I'm not saying I'm absolutely perfect and cured, but when I'm doing something, it's like, I'm going to go do this and I'm going to do this now. I'm getting it out. Eben Pagan I think he was one of the guys who helped cure me, which was the one statement that is always, it's tattooed in my brain. Everything's a test. Everything's a test. That's it. And I'm like, well, because if it's a perfectionism thing, then it's still going to be a test. You can spend all year, you can spend 10 years doing it, and we put it out, something's not going to work, and something's not going to be right, and it's still a test. So think about that. And Lorna, I'm being vulnerable. What's that?
I said, let me read one, Joey.
Go ahead. Sure, go ahead.
I'll be a little vulnerable here. A partial mind shift I've been pondering is an awareness I've had about years of not being fully prepared for things. For example, for creating ads, for teaching, for people visiting my home, you name it. And I'm not fully prepared. On the front end, few people notice, at least in the professional world. The people who helped me move sure saw my lack of preparation. Up until now, I've always chalked that up to time management. The last couple of weeks,
Yeah, we don't get the rest of it here, Lorna. I don't know if it's on the Facebooks, but it's not here. So if you can continue that would be great.
I like the scene from Monty Python and the Holy Grail where they're in the cave and where's the Grail? It's in the castle of, and the guy, and then he died. The castle of
Oh my God.
It's so true, Joey, because again, I was there, and I'm going to go a little deeper now, as long as we're talking about fear.
Yeah.
And I think last week I talked to
you.
Can
we just hold on? Hold that thought, because she's continued here.
Okay. Up until now, I've always chalked that up to time management. The last couple of weeks, I've been thinking it might be something deeper than that. Maybe there's 3 P's and they're related, and why? Procrastination, perfectionism, preparedness. Absolutely.
Perfectionism is still the same thing to me as preparedness.
Because okay, Joey, let's look at these last 3 and equate them with this show. Preparedness, we get on and talk about what we know. Perfectionism, not even close. Procrastination, we don't have a choice. It's 7 o'clock, it's Tuesday. Can't put that off. It is.
No, but I mean, I'm procrastinating because okay, here's the deal. Let's talk about procrastination. My Atlas stops at 2 o'clock or something this afternoon. Okay, let's say 3 o'clock. I have from 3 o'clock until 6:30 or whatever it is to come up with the topic, maybe post on the thingy, get the StreamYard thingy up and running, blah, blah, blah. What do? I procrastinate. I go, I got time. I need to go down and rest. I need to rest my brain, whatever I'm telling myself. And I procrastinate every single Tuesday.
I'll disagree with you on that. I don't think that's procrastination, because for 81, is this 81?
82, I think now.
Okay, for 82 weeks, you've shown up prepared in your unpreparedness with the topic. And you get the topic out, you're contacting me at least 6 minutes before the call.
At least. I mean, I got to give you some time.
Well, 6 minutes is enough to get prepared. And so it's not you know that in this particular instance, you got pretty much everything covered. We've done it enough times. If it was like, holy crap, I've got to write an email sequence that's due tomorrow and I haven't started it, I think that's probably procrastination.
Yeah. Well, here's something that I learned today because, as you know, I just upgraded my StreamYard and I want to go to more places, right? So I wanted to go today to LinkedIn. And I just did this at 6:40 or something like this to get this broadcast. And sure enough, it says you need to be an hour ahead before broadcasting to LinkedIn. Like, okay, so now there's something that broke because it's still good enough. I'm going to 80% of the things that I wanted to go to, not 100%, which LinkedIn is missing out today. And so next week it'll be fine. I'm going to have this an hour before to make sure that we are on LinkedIn. But that's the whole thing. It's just about putting the thing out, learning, testing, and going, well, that didn't work out. Did we cancel the broadcast just because of that? No, we're still here.
Is procrastination real?
What do you mean by real? I believe it is.
Well, I don't, because if I get it done when it's supposed to get done, who gets to judge that as procrastination if I get it done when it needs to get done?
It's not about finishing. It's about, can you do it now? Like you're putting it off to another time zone. So it's like I said, me from last week, I knew that I had to do these things, but I procrastinated and said, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. And here I was up till 4 a.m. freaking out. And I got it. Now I got to get this thing done. Okay, now it's done enough, right? And then it was at 4 a.m. going to sleep, looking at going, okay, how much sleep can I get here? I got 6 hours of sleep, got up, and went right back to it until 12, whatever it was, 30 before the show, before the training. And it wasn't like hardcore, oh my God, I'm not freaking out. It was just like, just going through it, reading it, just taking it all in, taking the break, just looking at it, trying to what? Perfect it, trying to, let me get this right. Nobody, if I would have given the thing the way it was last week, they still wouldn't have known the difference or said, why aren't you teaching us more stuff? So procrastination to me is totally real because I do it all the time. Do I get things done? Yes. For me, I don't know why, but I thrive on pressure. Like, it's like, I'm going to go do this thing next week or tomorrow. It's got to be done by tomorrow at 10 a.m. And I'll be like, no problem. Like next week on Tuesday, I got to deliver again. So I've got 7 days from now till then. I could do it right now and finish it, but I won't. We'll be talking about this next Tuesday.
And I believe that if you were totally non-procrastinatory, there's a new word for you. If you were non-procrastinatory and you were like, okay, so today is this and I need to have this for next week, good, that's done. And there will always be more things coming in that would get added. You'd be like, oh, I can't get that now because I just did this thing. Like I look back and I've known that we made a decision last week that we were going to beta launch the encoder on Thursday. And I knew he had to program a lot to get me the finished product. And I was like, when I have the finished product, that's my process. Now I'll put it all together. Well, I don't even have it yet, and I have a day and a half left.
Right.
I'm okay with that. That's just, I know that even though tomorrow I've got a meeting at 9, I got a mastermind at noon, and I've got another call at 2 o'clock and yoga at 5:30. It's not a lot of hours left in that.
Well, that's not really procrastination. That's just how you thrive. Like you can still get it done. Like so that's different than what we're really talking about. Like you're telling me that you don't procrastinate, or so like I'm saying that I do.
I think maybe it's the definition here. I don't believe in that because my whole life I've known that regardless, I will get it done when it needs to get done. It's like,
but that's procrastination to me.
Well, but see, we're defining a same situation differently.
Okay, so remember last week or a couple weeks ago, and you said you had the right copy.
Yeah.
There was a copy thing you had to do, and you're like, I got to get this done tonight. It's got to be done, or it got to be done by tomorrow, whatever.
Right.
And then we got on our call, and you were like, okay, we're going to do this other thing. And you're like, yeah, but I still got to write this copy thing. So you procrastinated. You put it off.
I didn't procrastinate.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't want to do it. I knew that I had to get it done by a certain time, and I was going to get it done. That to me is
no, bro, because you procrastinated whether you'd wanted to do it or not, and you moved into another thing that was another project, and you took that project time to do the thing that you were supposed to do. You disagree with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is the epitome of procrastination. That is the epitome, is taking up someone else's project time or whatever.
Do we have any other questions or comments from our people here at this moment?
You see, see what happens when everybody's watching this. What happens when you get called out? You just like, hey, is that a rabbit over there?
Well, you want to own procrastination. I don't. It's just.
But that's what you did. I'm not saying it's wrong or whatever. I'm just saying that that's what procrastination is. It's one day you said, I got to get this done by tomorrow at 10 o'clock. And then you just said, I can get it all done, which you didn't. And then because whatever reasons you want to tell yourself, and then moving over into the next project, which it should have been done by 10, you were in the other project, which was with us, and you were doing that project. So you pushed it and you procrastinated. That's the epitome of procrastination.
Okay.
You don't agree with that?
No.
Okay. Let's move on. Let's see. So join Gord. All right. Gord is doing his YouTube thingy. Congratulations, buddy. Join the group. I think that is, I don't know which one. I think it's that Gord's or ours, whichever one. It's still there. I'm sure they're awesome. I know that ours is awesome.
Yeah, I'm sure that Gord is brilliant when it comes to that YouTube stuff. And yes, if I it wasn't launching another software.
If Gord was here, he'd agree with me about procrastination, that he procrastinates just as much as I do. People will judge us regardless of matter. We may as well go for it.
Exactly.
Other fears. Fear of what people will think, fear of finding out that I really don't know enough, imposter syndrome. Yeah, that's a huge thing. So are you talking about just fear, Lorna, or are you talking about why you would procrastinate to get something out? And it's true that we have this imposter syndrome, or that it's not good enough, or, I have the same fears. I'm with you on this one, where, oh my God, they're going to really find out how unorganized I am. And look, I'm showing you my desk now, and I just don't care anymore. Like, this is how it is. Take it or leave it. I still get my stuff done. I still have great value and knowledge, but this is how I work. Take it or leave it. I'm not a perfectionist, or you're not going to get perfection from me at all. Continued. We got that one already. Procrastinate a lot, which doesn't. Here, you want to read that one, Gord? Gord. I'm thinking of Gord now. Scott.
Oh, I procrastinate a lot. I waste a lot of time and energy putting things off. And then last minute, I do it. So I get it done. But I could have saved myself a lot of energy, tension, and time.
Yeah. You're in the same boat as me, Monica. That's how I operate. For some reason, I don't know why, and I know that it's a pattern of mine, but it's how I operate. And I know I've got all of this time to go for next week's thing, and I'm like,
Here's a question for you then, Joey. You and I have talked about Gary Halbert many times, and Doberman Dan's account of when he worked with Gary Halbert writing copy. And he'd show up to write copy, and Gary'd be like, we got to go to Walmart and pick up some stuff. And then the next day they go to write copy. He goes, we got to get the boat, check in, do some things with that. And then they would do that for 5 days. And then Saturday, they would sit down and write the copy. Now, that was his process that he needed for that creative juices to work. When I go and play in the yoga studio, or when I go do something, or when I go read books that do something to my creative genius, to help that genius show up. Is that procrastination or is that a process?
No, that's a process. We talked about that last week, and I agree with that, where that's one of the reasons, or whatever you want to call it. Like, yeah, let's call it a reason of giving myself that break of a couple of days, like last week, knowing that there was still enough time to do it. And that wasn't procrastination. That was, you know what, I need to take a break from this and let my mind rest. That's a process. That's cool. But then I got back into procrastination. Well, it's Saturday. I still can do this. And let me go do this. And what do? I'm doing everything but that. The keynote is up, but I'm doing everything else. I'm still sitting here for 5 or 6 hours doing stuff with the keynote open. I'm like, I still got tomorrow. And that happened again on Sunday.
Well, why do you feel, and I will let you have your word, procrastinate. Why do you feel that Saturday you procrastinated, if that's what we're going to name that thingy that you do?
Because I opened the keynote to do the work, and instead of doing the work, I created more other work that wasn't necessary to do.
Why didn't you do the work?
Yeah, I just said I procrastinated that one. Like, I need to get this done.
We get the word. Why did you?
I don't know.
Well,
I'm just telling you, that's just part of, it's because it's like that. I get caught into that, what's the word again? That thing we talked about last week, the Michael J. Fox thingy, Parkinson's law, right? Like, I'm always in that Parkinson's law. However much time I have, I'll fill it to get stuff done. And so that's part of my procrastination. It's just how I operate. And I know that it's happening. And I also operate like you, that I know that when my back is against a wall, I'll get it done. But I could, like Monica said, relieve myself of all of that pressure if I just tomorrow focused on tomorrow and Thursday, looking at the thing, getting it to another 80% from the 80%, whatever that is, which is probably 1% better, right? And then on Tuesday, looking at it again and maybe making another tweak to make myself happy. So that would be the ultimate.
Today, after I got off our training call, where one of our creators taught people how to make shape fonts, which was way cool. And afterwards, I was a little tired, and I went outside and took a nap in the sun for about 45 minutes.
Right.
And that was I love being out in the sun. I love that energy. Anyway, you could post what.
That's not procrastination. That's totally not. However, what I was debating you on was procrastination, because you pushed it and pushed it and pushed it. Now, if you
want to go back to that, you don't want.
No, I'm just pointing out the difference.
Oh,
okay. I know you don't like it because you're, it's a thorn in your side.
There were two monks walking through the forest. There was the teacher and the student, and they got to a river, and there was a woman who was petrified of crossing the river. The older monk picks the woman up and carries her across and sets her down. And they're in their silence, and about a mile down the path in the forest, the younger monk turns to his teacher and says, "Teacher, I'm confused. I thought that we're never supposed to touch women." And the older monk looks to the younger one and says, "I don't know about you, but I put her down a mile back at the river." What's the next comment, Joey?
Okay. You don't need to be prepared if you can improvise. It seems like 100% to others it's an art if you were a dancer. Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Scott doesn't have tension tied up in postponing. Procrastination to me ties up energy. Doesn't have tension tied up in postponing.
Tension tied up in postponing. That's a good set of words.
Yeah, but he still postponed and procrastinated.
See, he won't let it go, Monica.
Won't let it go. Because that's procrastination, man.
He's like a pit bull. He's got to do both.
That's why I'm such a great freaking coach, bro, because I won't let it go until you understand. Tough skin.
I understand your way. There's no other way.
Yeah, well, I just well,
Both.
it's like two pit bulls butting heads because we both don't want to be wrong. So I'll fight you to the death.
I know. Both. These are common fears. I have them at times. Mostly I just push through them. Well, that's what Dean Jackson says courage is, the ability to push through things faster and faster.
Wasn't it Dan Sullivan who says procrastination is our friend? It shows us that we don't want to what we don't want to do with what is not our superpower. That's you're probably right. I would not argue with that because I'm pretty sure I read that with Dan as well. But I'm glad you brought that back up because that is brilliant. It's so true. I don't really know. Yeah, it's a hard one for me to really wrap my head around. Do I really want to do that? Am I procrastinating because I don't want to do it? I don't know if that's true.
You don't have enough understanding of the concept of procrastination to truly judge it either way, Joey. I think you need to do some more research into procrastination. I think you need to read a couple of books on it and come report back to us.
Okay, so you tell me, Buddha, what is procrastination? You teach me what it is. Go ahead.
It's a made-up word that people want to use to make excuses for just living life and being okay with where you're at. They have to make up a word that feels guilt and shame and feels all this stuff. I'm not good enough and this and that, instead of, it ain't done yet. I'll get it done. Thanks. You don't have to put a word to everything just so you could say, oh, I'm procrastinating. I'm a procrastinator. And I could join the world of procrastinators. And I can then join Procrastinators Anonymous. And we can all come together and we could admit that we're procrastinators. And you could have this whole world of courses on procrastination and anti-procrastination.
This turned out to be a procrastination argument, but I disagree with you.
I'm glad you do, Joey.
All right.
Glad you do.
But I won't get into it because we're just gonna have another argument, and you won't admit you're wrong. That's okay.
So I have to admit I'm wrong. That's the end of every conversation.
No, you don't have to admit you're wrong. You could admit I'm right, and that's okay too.
I'll go with option C.
Yeah, exactly.
Monica's right.
I've always loved that story, Scott with the monks. I've never heard that story before until he told it. He's like a dog with a bone. It's so true. I like the beginning and the end of things, but not the middle. So I procrastinate. You can't procrastinate because Scott just said it's not a word we can use anymore when I have to do in the middle. We are postponing, or we are living life in between the front and end of a project. That's how we should look at it.
Well, Joey, let's look at the definition of procrastination. And it says that procrastination is the action of unnecessarily and voluntarily delaying or postponing something. Here we go. Despite knowing that there will be negative consequences for doing so.
Yeah, that's right.
Negative consequences? What negative consequences?
I'm not gonna go in here because you're gonna say, why are you bringing that thing back up again? But there is negative consequences of the actions you took by procrastinating your project into someone else's time. That's negative consequences. By disrespecting other people's time, doing someone else's project. There. Anything else you want to talk about?
We'll agree to disagree on this one.
Well, there it is. There's always a negative to the procrastination. The negative for me, because I can identify with it. I'm totally okay with it. I'm not afraid to admit anything. And the fact is that the negative thing for me is the stress that I don't want in my life. Like I don't have a stressed life at all, except when I procrastinate. And even though I know that I'm doing it, the negativity is that feeling of stress. Not that it's got to be perfect. Like, because I'm okay with that, you know that. But it's like, oh my God, I got to get this done. Or, oh my God, I just lost my 8 hours. I only got 6 hours of sleep today. That's a negative thing, bro.
Okay.
Right? There's a lot that statement is totally true. Or that Wikipedia, wherever you're reading it.
Actually, it's from dictionary.
Cool. Brothers from another mother. We are. That's so true. There are courses on procrastination, but I've not yet taken one. Yeah, you should just wait. Wait for the offer to come through, the right offer, and then that's when you take the procrastination wins.
You gotta wait a while. You can't jump on that too soon.
I love your wit. It's so amazing, Lorna. It's so crazy. So we're talking about the 80% rule, not the 80% rule, I'm sorry, the 80% approach that Dan Sullivan, we're quoting from his book, about that our 80% is good enough. And that, here's the quote. I'll actually copy this and paste it in so you can all read that one, because I think it's awesome, which is this guy. Oops, wrong one. One moment. Let me...
Isn't this what they call dead air in the radio broadcasting world?
Not when you're talking, it isn't. There we go. 80% is accepted as others at 100%. So when you do anything and you get to that 80%, which is basically when you start something, it doesn't matter if you work on it for a week, it's still 80%. And that is accepted by everybody as 100%. I hope that you drink that in and you really absorb that. That will allow you to get your perfectionism, or hopefully release some of the perfectionism and get your stuff out there. If you're just waiting on the fence or you're trying to get it absolutely perfect, and it'll never be perfect. But this quote here is something that I think is brilliant. We're talking about Dan Sullivan's, what's the book called? The 80% Approach, if you want to look into that. And always, if you'd like to join us inside our Facebook group, where Scott is in there making trouble as well, it's awesome. Come in there. We got some amazing people, heart-centered entrepreneurs, creators, coaches, practitioners, all there helping each other with the 80% to try and get you to get in momentum and get your stuff out there. So that is where we are. We'd love to have you in there. Any other last thoughts?
I think we're good on the 80% procrastination rule.
Cool. The downside to procrastination is that work doesn't get done, but it still occupies our mind. Well, that's a really great thought. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. And here's the other thing that Scott was talking about, where you take that break or you go for a walk or whatever, you go for a cruise. That's how I get that stuff off of my mind, to believe it or not. It's if I'm, whatever it is, absorbing, even if it's reading another book, just taking in more information, or I go and binge on Netflix for 2 hours or 3 hours. I don't feel guilty about it at all, because I'm just shutting down my brain and looking away from what I've been doing. And so that procrastination is still there, but the thing is not on my mind, because it would drive me absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I think that's an important point there, Joey, is for those people that ascribe to procrastination as a thing, as opposed to a fictitious lore, to have a place to put that. I know for me, for example, I got to build all this. Yeah. And it's in the office. And when I get there, I'll build it. I don't need to be, I got to do this and that. No, that stuff lives behind that white door in here. When I'm outside of it, there's nothing I can do about it. Why would I waste time? And it's taken a long time to get there, Joey, because I used to be, holy crap, I got to do this and this and this and this and this, and I'd lay awake. And now it's like, focus, concentrate, meditate, and go to sleep.
Well, okay, but that's a discipline. That's a practice. That's a habit. That's something where that's a completely other discussion, which is awesome, right? Because, yeah, when you close the door and you're leaving it there and you're saying, look, tomorrow when I go here, I'm at work. When I leave here, I'm going home and I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And it's out of my brain as much as possible, or however you do that. And that's an awesome thing to do, where I can't do a lot of that. I can't go on a beach and shut down and whatever, because my brain never shuts off. It's very rare that it shuts off. That's a big problem that I have, and I admit that. You have the ability to do that, which is great. A lot of entrepreneurs don't have that ability, but they need to learn how to do that. And that's why even Dan talks about the free day. Like, have one free day a week where you're completely shut off and shut down, and it just rejuvenates. And even as I talk about last night and up till 4 a.m. or whatever, dude, it was still to the point where I still allowed myself to shut down and say, this is good enough. And I wasn't like freaking out. It was still a lot of time to stay up to that late, but I wasn't, again, it wasn't like the full day till 4 a.m. There was still other stuff I was doing, right? I think I started working on it at 11 o'clock at night or something like that, but still. And then it was to the point where this is great. I'm just going to get some sleep and whatever. I'll wake up tomorrow and get whatever I need to get done. And that's it. So, but I didn't go to sleep thinking about that. Like it was just completely, something different. Don't know what it was. Can't tell you what it was, but I know my brain was still active, but it wasn't about freaking out thinking, what's that slide look like? Or should I move that thing around? It wasn't like that.
Right. Cool.
Thank you, my man. As always, thank you everybody for being here. And Tuesday nights, we are here every Tuesday from 7 to 8, at least to 8. We spend 60 minutes talking about marketing or procrastination or all the other stuff, productivity, whatever it is that has to do with growing your business. Today was a really cool one about 80%, getting to the 80% approach. And that's about it. That's all you need. So we'll see you again next Tuesday at 7 o'clock.